As she stalked away, Michael felt a chill that had nothing to do with the spring breeze. His grandmother had always taught him to recognize the look in someone's eyes when they decided to make you their enemy. He had just seen that look, and it made his stomach knot with foreboding. "It's just not appropriate," Patricia announced at the April HOA meeting, her French manicured nails tapping a rhythm on her leather portfolio. "The Chen Properties water feature is attracting too many outsiders. Just last weekend, I counted 17 vehicles parking on our streets." What Patricia didn't mention was that those outsiders included the mayor, 2 marine biologists from the state university, and a documentary crew from the National Geographic Channel, all there to see the koi collection that had just been featured in International Aquatics Monthly. Michael sat silently, counting his breaths as his grandmother had taught him. After the meeting, he'd approached Patricia with a peace offering, a specially designed invitation for a summer garden party at his home, where she could be the official host. "That's thoughtful, Michael," she said, not bothering to look at the card. "But I'm more concerned about the mosquitoes your pond must be breeding. Have you had it tested recently?" The next day, the county mosquito control officer appeared at Michael's door. "Sorry to bother you," the officer said awkwardly, "but we got 3 separate complaints about standing water." After testing the pond's perfect ecological balance, he left with samples of Michael's filtration system, asking if he could bring his supervisor back to learn from it. The random inspections increased: plumbing, electrical, noise compliance. Michael passed them all, but the constant intrusions were taking a toll. His oldest koi stopped eating for a week after a particularly disruptive inspection. The neighborhood began choosing sides. Some, like Eleanor Rodriguez, the retired biology teacher next door, brought him homemade cookies after each inspection. Others avoided eye contact at community events. The breaking point came when Patricia was spotted at 5:30 am taking photos through Michael's fence, just as he was performing a traditional Japanese blessing ceremony on the anniversary of his grandmother's passing. The flash startled the fish, ruining the ceremony. When confronted, Patricia smiled thinly and said, "Community documentation, I have every right." That afternoon, Michael made 2 calls, one to a lawyer who specialized in HOA harassment cases, and another to the Japanese American Cultural Association. The director gasped when he described his collection. "Your ghost koheku might qualify for protected status. Don't let anyone near that pond until we can get a conservation expert out there." The aquarium staff noticed something was wrong with Michael the moment he arrived for work. His phone had been buzzing nonstop all morning, but the aquarium's strict no-phones policy during feeding time meant he hadn't checked it. "Michael, you need to go home. Now." His supervisor's face was grave as she thrust his phone at him. 17 missed calls. The first voicemail made his blood freeze. Eleanor's normally calm voice was shaking. "Michael, there are men in your backyard. Patricia is with them. They have pumps. I tried to stop them, but..." The message cut off. Michael broke every speed limit on his way home. 3 blocks away, he spotted a landscaping truck with Wellington Property Services emblazoned on the side. Patricia's brother-in-law's company. The same company that had failed 3 times to win the HOA landscaping contract. The sight that greeted him would haunt his dreams for years to come. Where his pond had been, the ecosystem he'd nurtured for years, the living legacy of his grandmother, was now just raw dirt being covered by workers rolling out sod. The elegant Japanese maple that had shaded the water was hacked to a stump. "What have you done?" Michael's voice was barely a whisper as he stumbled across his lawn. "Where are my fish?" The first time Michael Chen saw his grandmother's koi fish break the water's surface to eat from his palm, he felt something awaken inside him. That was 15 years ago, when he inherited 3 prize koi after her passing. Now, at 37, Michael's backyard had become legendary among enthusiasts across 3 states. "You can tell a lot about a person by how their koi respond to them," remarked Dr. Tanaka, the renowned Japanese breeder who had flown in specifically to see Michael's collection. He watched in amazement as the massive ghost kohiku, a fish so rare only 8 existed outside Japan, rolled playfully to let Michael stroke its pearl-white belly. In 30 years, "I've never seen one bond like this. This fish alone could buy you a luxury car." The ghost kohiku, valued at over $25,000, was just the crown jewel. There were the 2 championship tanto with their perfect crimson circles, 3 blue asaji whose scales shimmered like sapphires under moonlight, and most precious of all, his grandmother's original koi, now over 35 years old and still thriving. Each morning before work, Michael would sit beside the pond, drinking tea from his grandmother's cups as the fish swam lazy circles around water lilies imported from Kyoto. Winter evenings found Michael hunched over water testing equipment, adjusting pH levels and mineral content with the precision of a chemist. The filtration system he designed had won an innovation award from the International Aquatics Guild. "It's not just about keeping water clean," he explained to visitors. "It's about creating a living ecosystem in perfect balance." University researchers occasionally stopped by to collect water samples, amazed at how Michael had replicated the exact conditions of mountain streams in central Japan. The pond itself was a masterpiece of landscape design that had been featured in 3 gardening magazines. Stone lanterns from Hokkaido flanked a small wooden bridge arching over the narrowest section. Cherry trees and Japanese maples provided dappled shade in summer, their fallen blossoms creating natural artwork on the water's surface in spring. Neighborhood children would press their faces against Michael's fence on Saturday mornings, hoping for a glimpse of the rainbow fish during feeding time. When Michael moved to Oak Ridge Estates, he'd done his research. He'd attended 3 HOA meetings before buying, had his pond plans triple approved, and even installed special sound dampening features so the waterfall wouldn't disturb neighbors. The previous HOA president had called it an asset to the community and organized summer events around it. But Patricia Wellington saw only an opportunity. A failed interior designer with a new title as HOA president, she'd moved to Oak Ridge Estates with something to prove. Neighbors whispered about how she'd measured the Johnson's rose bushes with a ruler, declaring them 1.5 inches too tall. Now her laser focus had turned to the feature that drew the most admiration in the neighborhood, the very attention she craved for herself. Patricia first noticed Michael's pond during the community Easter egg hunt. While other HOA board members admired the serene setting, Patricia's eyes narrowed at the group of strangers photographing the koi. "Who are these people?" she demanded. "Did they sign waivers? This is private property." "That's Professor Watanabe from Tokyo University," Michael explained. "He's documenting heritage breed characteristics for a conservation study." Patricia's lips pressed into a thin line. "Outside visitors require board approval," she said, making a note in her ever-present portfolio. "And I don't recall approving any foreign water features." Patricia's lawyer had tried to paint it as a misunderstanding of HOA regulations, but that defense collapsed when the text messages between Patricia and her brother-in-law appeared on the screen. Asterisk, "Make sure it looks like an official HOA action. Use the letterhead, asterisk. Asterisk, what about the fish? Asterisk. Asterisk, I don't care. Just get rid of that eyesore. Who does he think he is bringing his foreign pond to my neighborhood? Asterisk." The white ghost kohiaku had barely survived. Found in Patricia's storage unit in 6 inches of filthy water, it had lost scales and developed a fungal infection that required round-the-clock care from specialists flown in from Japan. The photos of its condition caused audible gasps in the courtroom. Even more damning was the revelation that Patricia had specifically targeted Michael while approving 3 other water features in the neighborhood, all belonging to families that matched her aesthetic vision. The verdict was swift and unanimous. The judge, an avid gardener whose own koi pond had been inspired by a visit to Michael's yard the previous year, didn't hold back during sentencing. "Ms. Wellington, your actions represent the worst kind of cultural intolerance masked as community standards. The court orders damages of $145,000, plus full restoration costs for Mr. Chen's property under the supervision of the Japanese American Cultural Society. But money couldn't restore what was lost. Michael's grandmother's oldest koi had never been found. The ghost kohiaku would never breed again. It was Daisu Tanaka, the Japanese breeder who had sold Michael the ghost kohiaku, who offered the most meaningful restoration. My father gave your grandmother her first koi 40 years ago, he revealed during a video call. I have the sister of your lost fish, same lineage, same age, and something else. He held up a small container with eggs. These are the offspring of your ghost kohieku from its last breeding cycle in Japan. Its legacy continues. 1 year later, Michael stood beside his new pond, larger, more beautiful, and now protected by state conservation laws as an official heritage breeding site. Beside him stood Eleanor, the HOA's new president, and Dr. Yamamoto from the Heritage Registry. School children gathered for the official ribbon cutting of the Chen Tanaka Memorial Japanese Water Garden. As Michael released the first fish, a pearl white koi with a distinctive pattern exactly like his grandmother's lost fish, he noticed a familiar figure at the back of the crowd. Patricia, thinner and humbler after her fall from grace, stood watching quietly. When their eyes met, she gave a small nod before turning away. Later that evening, after everyone had gone, Michael found a small package by the pond. Inside was his grandmother's teacup, the one that had disappeared during the destruction, carefully mended with gold lacquer in the Japanese tradition of kintsugi, where broken things are made more beautiful by honoring their scars. The note simply read, "Some things can be restored, I'm sorry." Beneath the silky water, the new generation of koi, including the descendants of the ghost kohieku, swam in lazy circles, their scales catching the sunset in flashes of white, red, and gold. Patricia stood by her SUV, clipboard in hand, a small, satisfied smile playing at the corners of her lips. Oak Ridge Estates has standards, Mr. Chen. Your non-native species and non-compliant water feature have been removed after multiple violations. You had no right. Michael was shaking now. Those fish were registered heritage breeds. Where are they? Patricia's smile never wavered. The invasive species have been humanely relocated. There's your official notice. She nodded toward a paper fluttering on his front door. As Patricia drove away, Eleanor hurried over from her porch, her hands trembling as she held out her iPad. I recorded everything. She told them to just dump those Chinese goldfish at the pet store. Eleanor's eyes filled with tears. I heard splashing in the trash containers, Michael. Some of them might still be. Michael was already running toward the large plastic bins at the curb. He ripped off the lid of the first one to find 6 of his beloved koi gasping in barely an inch of dirty water. The ghost kohieku was not among them. "You wouldn't believe what's happening on Maple Drive," became the opening line at every coffee shop in town. Michael's story went viral after Eleanor's shaky video hit social media. Local news vans lined the street while Michael, running on nothing but adrenaline and rage, worked frantically to save his recovered koi in makeshift tanks in his garage. "It's a standard HOA dispute," the first police officer on scene had said with a shrug. That changed when Michael pulled out his insurance documents. "This single fish is valued at how much? $25,000. And it's still missing." Michael's voice was hollow. "Along with my grandmother's oldest koi, which is literally irreplaceable." The detective who took over whistled low when he saw the security camera footage Eleanor had captured. "That's not an HOA action, sir. That's breaking and entering, grand theft, and criminal destruction of property." Michael's phone rang constantly. First came asterisk, the Aquatic Times asterisk, then local news, then national outlets. But it was the call from Dr. Hanako Yamamoto of the International Heritage Breed Registry that changed everything. "Mr. Chen, your ghost kohieku was one of only 8 breeding pairs outside Japan. Its genetic line dates back to the Edo period. When you registered it with us last year, it became protected under international conservation laws." As Michael processed this, his other line beeped. The Japanese consulate was calling. Meanwhile, Patricia's carefully constructed facade was crumbling. The HOA emergency board meeting descended into chaos when the treasurer revealed that Patricia had authorized a $15,000 payment to her brother-in-law's company using the emergency fund meant for replacing the neighborhood playground equipment. She said it was for urgent community preservation. The treasurer explained, his face ashen. She shredded the original purchase order, added the HOA secretary, sliding a reassembled document across the table. But I found the pieces in the recycling bin. By nightfall, Patricia's name was trending on Twitter. #JusticeForKoi had over 1 million engagements. 3 television crews were camped outside her house. But Michael didn't care about any of that. He sat in his empty backyard, holding his grandmother's teacup, when his phone chimed with a text from an unfamiliar number. "I know where your whitefish is. Check your email." The attached photo showed the unmistakable ghost Kohieku in a plastic tub inside what looked like a storage unit. The text came with an address and a simple message: "Patricia's personal storage. Code is 1234. Hurry." The courtroom fell silent as the surveillance footage played on the large screen. Patricia Wellington, in her designer suit and pearls, watched her digital self directing workers to make sure none of those foreign fish survive, while pointing at a thrashing white koi. The prosecutor, a woman whose grandmother had coincidentally survived the Japanese internment camps, let the footage speak for itself before addressing the jury. Ms. Wellington didn't just destroy property. She attempted to erase cultural heritage, living history that survived 3 generations.